Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy, one and only AI Legends, and yeah guys, today I am back with the next part of what if Naruto was neglected by his family and had the powers of Majin Buu. So yeah guys, today I'm going to upload the next part of it and hopefully you guys will enjoy it as well. And yeah guys, if you guys are new to this channel or if you guys have not subscribed yet, please guys do so, it will really help me a lot. And for the like goal of the next part is going to be 500 likes and 200 comments. And yeah guys, I put the link of my Instagram within the description below. So without any further ado, let us start the video. Last time we left off as we saw that how Naruto was neglected by his family as the third Hokage Minato and Jiraiya and Tsunade were able to seal off the nine tails inside of Menma in Naruto since they wanted them to be loved by the village as Jiraiya proposed that they put all the blame on Naruto since that there were only three children there, but the nine-tail was only sealed inside of Menma and Naruto. So they came up with the idea that they will tell the villagers that how Menma and Naruto only have the chakra of the beast, while on the other hand Naruto possessed the soul. And in the end of the day, Naruto was hated by all of the village as Minato and Kushina decided that since Menma and Naruto are obviously in their own eyes were the child of destiny, so they should be loved by the village and not hated. So they just wanted to protect the whole prophecy or whatever they like to think about it. Well, it was actually Naruto who possessed the powers, the ancient powers of Majin Buu, since Majin Buu is known to be a creature born thousands of years ago in the universe. So he was the most ancient evil all across the universe. As Naruto had the powers of Majin Buu, as Naruto you can say started to get beaten up by the villagers and things like that. But in the end of the day, Naruto was able to activate or awoken the evil powers of Majin Buu as he was able to decimate all the shinobis that were around him and absorb the power of one of the Uchiha that were there as Naruto gained the powers of the Sharingan as well as the chakra of the guy. Well guys, in this series I would like to point out that Naruto has so much power, or rather Majin Buu has so much power, even I doubt that Madara in his Jubi form or Kaguya or even Momoshiki or Kinshiki are ever going to be ever a challenge to someone like Majin Buu. So in this series, Chakra is only going to, you can say, enhance the magical powers which Naruto will possess in this series, not increase his strength, because honestly, in the whole Naruto verse, there is not even a single creature who can actually best someone like Majin Buu, who has destroyed so many planets. So yeah guys, that was the last part. If you guys have not seen it, please check it out. You guys will definitely like it. And yeah guys, please follow me on Instagram. I put the link in the Instagram. It will be helpful. So yeah guys, without any further ado, let us start the video. In the last part, we saw that how Naruto destroyed the forest of the dead. So we are going to have a small timescape. Finally, 8 years have been passed since the Ninetales attack in the Hokage office as Minato slammed his face into the table. He was angry, he was furious as all across the village, as a matter of fact, so many forests and so many shinobis and civilians has gone missing as Jiraiya was standing in front of him. Calm down, kid. Tell me what actually happened. As Minato glared towards him, you do not know, don't you, sensei? As Jiraiya gulped a little. Well, Minato, I know that what you're going through. As Minato looked towards him pretty angry, as Jiraiya said, I know that accident that happened all those years ago, as well as the forest of death. We are trying to find the culprit. As Minato simply shook his head, it has been almost a year since the whole forest of death was decimated across. You can say the village, the villagers were scared. Well, there were not, you can say, some kind of murders or anything across the roads. But since many of the shinobis has gone missing, well, secretly, those shinobis were the one who tried to attack Naruto because of their own anger and things like that, and Naruto just simply ended them. And yeah, he was getting stronger, even though he has all of that power, he does not have the control over such immense power. As Minato, along with, you can say, the council, was furious as they wanted to find the culprit which has taken away such a, you can say, ancient forest which was created by the Shudaime Hokage himself. But they were not able to find anything to begin with. Even Jiraiya was trying to find anything with his spy network, but he was not able to do anything. As Jiraiya was scared a little. As he looked towards Minato, but before he could say anything, as Kushina as well as third Hokage also came in. As Hiruzen sighed as he said, well anything, Minato. As Minato simply shook his head, sorry Lord Third. I've been trying my best as well as many of the shinobis, even Jiraiya Sensei spy network has been able to find nothing. As Hiruzen simply shook his head, he remembered that tremendous power which he felt all those, you can say, years ago. The power of the Nine Tails was nothing compared to the power he felt when the forest of death was decimated within seconds and all that blinding light. For a moment, he thought that some other village was trying to attack him, especially Onoki, with his power of dust release, but nothing was found. And no, you can say, proof was found that any other village has tried to attack them. As Kushina speaker, do you think that it is some kind of new Kekigenkai which some other village was trying to test out? And Jiraiya simply shook his head. I don't think so. I have already spies all across the elemental nations, and I doubt that they will try to use such a powerful Kekigenkai to use it against Konoha and make us aware of such power. Because if it was just a test, we would have tried to hunt that person with this Kekigenkai and kill him because he's so much of a threat to Konoha for the good of Konoha, of course. As Hiruzen also nodded at that as he sighed. Well, Minato, don't worry about it. In time, we will be able to find him. It is not like the murders are going on the streets. It is just that some of the shinobis are getting missing. It is really possible that they are just trying to hunt that person or they have really gone missing. As Minato nodded at that, as Hiruzen nodded as he said, well, Minato, what about the training of the Menma and Naruto? As Minato had a small smile on his face. Well, Lord Third, the training of both Menma and Naruto is going splendid, as they both have been progressing fairly greatly, as they have already mastered, the leaf exercise as well as some other minor exercise and some basic katas. I think that they will be splendid shinobi in the future, as Jiraiya smirked at that. Of course, they're going to be splendid. After all, I'm the one who's training them. As Kushina coughed a little, well, you do realize that I'm the one who's training them mostly, as all of them laugh a little. Not even, you can say, remembering that they had another son. Well, soon enough, they will remember him with a boom. Well, unknown to most of the people, as Naruto in this time has finally mastered so many abilities of the power which he possessed, and to be honest, he did not know what to think of this power because for some time when he get too much deep inside of this power, he almost started to lose his mind. But he was able to, you can say, make a limit for himself. After all, no matter how strong Naruto may actually be, for someone like him to master the complete strength of Majin Buu is not literally not possible at such a young age. But Naruto was able to gain so many abilities. He was able to literally split his body in two and was able to make a solid copy of himself, as Naruto was able to change into the same material of Majin Buu, jelly like material, or whatever you guys like to call it. I don't want to think about it. Well, while on the other hand, Naruto is far, far away from Konoha, as it was way too much easy for him. He was simply able to teleport to the area, the power which was even greater than the horizon because it does not need any type of pointers whatsoever, as it was a derivation of the instant transmission technique. So yeah, as Naruto was in none other than Uzushio Gakure, a place far away from the elemental nation in the center of the sea where no one came here. The only seals that were around the area, but no matter how strong they were not comparable to the power which is possessed by Majin Buu. As, or rather, now Naruto, and he was an Uzumaki on top of it, so he was easily able to pass through all the seals and things like that, and he was training in all of this time. He has so much destructive power. No matter how much he hates Konoha, he simply cannot, you can say, train there freely. And with a single flick of his finger, he was able to destroy a large portion of a forest nearby. As Naruto was already training with another copy, which he was able to make from the very body of his, and he was able to absorb the other body, thus gaining his training as well. In this time, he was able to master a lot of the power. As Naruto was flying within the mid-air, he was sweating a lot as he had pinkish aura all around him. As all the area, there were craters, large craters all around him. As Naruto finally landed to the place with a smirk on his face in this time, he doubted that there is anyone in the whole elemental nations with such powers. Even the legendary power of the Rinnegan is going to be nothing compared to which he actually possesses now. As Naruto smirked, his eyes started to spin as three Tomo Sharingan was spinning inside of it. As Naruto saw that how in all of this time he was able to gain the Kekkei Genkai Jutsus as well as several memories of the person which he can actually absorb their chakra well. In terms of his physical strength, nothing much you can say increases, but his magical powers in this time has increased a lot as Naruto smirked as a pinkish area started, you can say, pinkish energy started to gather in his arm as Naruto released it to the ground as all the craters simply literally vanished from the area as his magical powers were able to restore the whole island that was there as Naruto simply smirked as he said, well, it's about time that I finally left Konoha completely and start my own journey. As he started to chuckle, as he said, to be honest, I do not care about this whole element of nations, shinobis, and things like that. But I think that as he looked towards his hand, I'm going to live a long, long life. So why not play with this whole shinobi system? As a smirk, a maniac smirk on his face, but he smirked back normally as he vanished into the sky with such speed and ferocity, making a small crater to the ground of Uzushio Gakure as he vanished towards Konoha. As Naruto finally arrived back to Konoha, as he finally landed beside his home, or rather so-called home, as he could already hear several laughter that were coming inside of the house. There was a time when he was jealous of all of that, but to be honest, when he activated all of his powers, or whatever awoken inside of him, Naruto truly does not know. But he knows there is an immense source of power inside of him. Even he is sometimes scared of such kind of power because he can sense all around the elemental nations and what type of power these people actually possess. And he is really, really scared, even the power that is residing inside of both Menma and Naruto. The power that was residing in both Menma and Naruto, the power that of a Biju of a nine tail was nothing compared to the power he can already sense inside of him. He has never dig too deeper inside of him, knowing that this power is going to make him mad if he really tap into when he was not ready. So, but even then, the power he can access is far greater than the nine Bijos can ever hope to achieve. So, yeah, as Naruto finally arrived inside of the home, as he did not even pay attention as all of his family was coming back from the, you can say, whole training, as he started to walk towards his room, as Minato noticed him, as a, you can say, flash of guilt passed through his, you can say, face. After all, he was the one. No matter what Jiraiya or third Hokage proposed, he was the Hokage, he was the one. He made the decision to put all the blame on Naruto so that his children, the child of the destiny, could be saved from such hatred and things like that. And it was really, really bad. Civilian council members wanted Naruto dead, but he was able to make a law to protect him somewhat at least. But he already knew that all those beatings and all those chases which happened all those years ago, but lately he was not hearing any news, so he was hopeful that the villagers must have calmed down now. As Kushina was also in the same boat, while Onjatan and Menma and Naruko also noticed Naruto as they had arrogant smirks on their faces. After all, they were the best, the favorites of their parents, and Naruto was nothing but a loser. They never even talked to him in a really, really long time, but they never bothered him too much. After all, he was just a weakling, a shame to their name. He was a demon, just like you can say all the villagers said, and that was their mindset. So yeah, and tomorrow is going to be the first day of the academy. As Kushina looked towards Minato as he said, Minato-kun, have you put the name of Naruto-kun in the academy? As Minato raised an eyebrow as he said, well, actually, Kushina, um, yeah, I actually forgot. As Kushina glared towards him, Minato. As Minato said, yeah, don't worry about it. Tomorrow I will put his name. After all, it is going to be the first day of academy. As man must scarf, he's just a weakling mom. He's not going to, you can say, he's only going to put shame to our name. As Kushina was about to say something, but Minato simply shook his head. Alright, Menma, Naruko, why don't you guys go to your room? After all, tomorrow is going to be the first day of the academy. So get ready. As both of them smirked at that and simply went. As both Menma and Naruko simply nodded at that and simply went off, while on the other hand, Minato simply looked towards Kushina as he said, "Don't worry, Kushina. I will put his name tomorrow and he's going to join the academy, so don't worry about it." As Kushina simply nodded at that, she wanted to talk to Naruto, but to be honest, after all of these years, she knew that there was hardly any relationship she had with her firstborn. As she simply shook her head, it was for the best. After all, it is for the world. So, yeah, as she simply nodded, and that finally, the next day has finally arrived as both Menma and Naruto were ready. As Minato tried to get to the room of Naruto, but for some reason he was not there. So Minato simply shook his head, wondering where Naruto could actually be, because he actually told him last night that he should, or rather, he was fairly sure that Naruto heard that how he should be ready for academy. As Minato simply shook his head, he was pretty sure that Naruto is going to be there. After all, he knows at least that Naruto wants to become shinobi, right? As he simply shook his head. To be honest, he does not know much about his firstborn because he never paid much attention to begin with. As now, finally, both Menma and Naruto finally arrived to the academy as they were ready and happy as they thought that their loser of a brother is not going to be in the academy. As Menma was smirking as well as Naruto said, huh, well, it seemed that the loser finally realized that how worthless he actually was and decided to not go to the academy, right, Menma? As Menma simply nodded at that, he was only going to bring shame to our name, the Namakase and Uzumaki. He's just a failure, nothing more than that. As both of them started to laugh at that, while on the other hand Kushina was talking with Mikoto and did not hurt anything, while on the other hand Minato was still in the Hokage office but promised to arrive before the whole introduction. After all, he was the Hokage, he has to be there on the first day of the academy for students. As they finally arrived to the place, immediately, both Menma and Naruto had scowls on their faces as Naruto was leaning at the, you can say, the hallway of the academy, as both of them glared towards him as they were about to say something. But you can say, Kushina, speak up. Alright, Menma, Naruto, we should go to the room. But then she finally realized that Naruto was also there. But before she could say anything, as Naruto decided to walk inside of the room, as Kushina had a sad expression on her face, but she simply shook her head. It was for the good of the world, as she simply nodded at that thought, and finally arrived inside of the room along with Mikoto and their two children, Sasuke and Kiyomi. So yeah, as Kiyomi walked up to Menma as she said, "Hey Menma." As Menma simply looked towards Kiyomi with a small blush on his face. "What, Kiyomi-chan?" As Kiyomi said, "Well, wasn't that your brother, Menma?" As Menma glared towards the position where Naruto was going inside. As he said, he's no brother of mine, Kiyomi. As Kyomi-chan, he's just a failure, a loser. Our mom and dad never even trained him and said that to make some distance between ourselves because he was just a failure and a weakling. As Kyomi was simply raised an eyebrow at that. This treatment reminded her of her own treatment by the hands of her father, as Fugaku Uchiha never wanted a daughter. After all, he was an Uchiha. His pride, you can say, believed that how the women were just a weakling. So he never wanted a daughter, but when Sasuke born, he was twins. As Sasuke and Kiyomi both were twins, and Sasuke was little brother, but he paid more attention to both, you can say, Itachi. Well, mainly attention to Itachi, but he also gave some attention to Sasuke by teaching him Fireball. He didn't even taught Kiyomi Fireball, as Kiyomi was able to activate her Sharingan that day because she was pretty sad, but still, no one paid attention except her older brother Itachi Uchiha, who loved both of his siblings equally, regardless of the gender. But she simply shook her head as she started to walk towards the room, as while on the other hand, finally Minato flashed inside of the room. As he looked towards all the children and parents were gathered there, as he smiled at that, he noticed that how Naruto was also there, leaning at the wall. As Minato once again shook his head, he did not want to think about that right now. As Minato decided to give a long speech about how it is an honor to be a shinobi and whatever. So after that, Iruka finally stepped up as they said, "Well, it is the first day of your academy, so today we're going to have a little sparring match with you guys, with all the students, so that you can show your skills, so we can mark you and can help you to improve in the areas where you are already lacking, as there were several nods at that as clan children were there. After all, it was a class of clan heirs. As well as Menma had a huge smirk on his face. He already knew about this small tournament going on, that how they can challenge, even they can challenge someone, as he noticed that how Kyomi was sneaking glances towards Naruto as he scowled at that, as he was pretty angry. After all, he had a small crush on Kiyomi and wanted her to notice him, not that loser, as he gritted his teeth on that. While on the time, Naruto also noticed that as a devilish smirk came to her face as he said, Menma, don't worry about it. When this small tournament begins, our loser of a brother, we will humiliate him in front of everyone. You can challenge him and then put him in his true place, and we will prove that how he's just a failure and we are the true prodigy children. As Myanmar had a smirk on his face, of course, Naruto, you're right. I'm going to put that loser in his place. How dare he to, you can say, get the attention of Kyomi-chan? As Naruto simply nodded at that as she giggled a little and glared towards her so-called failure of a brother. While on the other hand, Naruto was completely and utterly ignoring them, as he simply looked towards all the children with a bored expression on his face. He may have the powers of Majin Buu, but it all makes it so boring. They were all so weaklings, nothing in here. Not this Junin, not the, you can say, Junin's elite Junin, not even Hokage himself was a match for Naruto, because Minato has no ability in his arsenal which can actually truly damage Naruto right now. After all, he does possess the regenerative properties of someone like Majin Buu. So yeah, as Naruto simply looked towards how his siblings were glaring at him, but then he noticed that one of the, you can say, Uchiha's Kiyomi was sneaking glances at towards him as Menma was angry at it. As Naruto smirked at that, as a devilish smirk came to the face of Naruto, as he simply looked towards the girl who was trying to sneak glances at him, as he winked at her, as Kiyomi was a bit surprised at that. After all, no one tried to ever flirt with her after all. She was the daughter of clan head, so no one had the balls to do that, as she was a bit surprised, but then she blushed a little while Menma and Naruto noticed that as Menma was now even more furious. He wanted nothing more than to go to that place and beat Naruto to a bloody pulp, but no matter. He will prove that how he's the superior one here. He will beat that loser to the ground no matter what. As Naruto laughed inside of his head. To be honest, he did not care about such things, but it was always fun to see his weakling of a brother to get so angry. As he smirked at that, as how Aruka finally finishes his speech, and all the matches started to begin. As clan children started to fight, you can say the whole thing. As there were even volunteers how they can fight in the first match, and then finally it came the time as Menma speak up. Hey, Aruka sensei, as Aruka simply looked towards Menma, the Hokage's son, huh? As Menma said, I want to challenge someone. As Aruka raised an eyebrow, well, it was not the, you can say, against the laws. As he simply nodded at that, so, well, Menma, you can challenge someone, but he has to accept the challenge for that. As he simply nodded at that, I want to challenge that loser of my brother. As he looked towards Naruto, who was simply looking towards, you can say, Manma with a, you can say, blank expression on his face, as Iruka raised an eyebrow at that. Well, he have heard about the firstborn of Hokage. To be honest, there was a point when he hated, you can say, Naruto with passion. But in time, he finally realized that the kid has no fault in it. But at this point, he did not care. After all, the Hokage did not care. As he simply looked towards Naruto, as he said, well, Naruto-san, do you accept the challenge? While on the other hand, Minato and Kushina were pretty surprised. As Kushina said, what is Menma doing, Minato? As she was angry. After all, she has trained both Menma and Naruto to the best of her abilities. And Naruto was never trained by anyone. So it is obvious that how Naruto is going to be beaten up pretty badly. As Minato simply shook his head, maybe it was a mistake to tell both Menma and Naruto to keep their distance from Naruto. Now, for some reason, they started to hate him. As Minato, to be honest, did not like it, but he was the Hokage. He has to do what is best for the village. And since he has already put all the blame on Naruto's shoulders, so right now he simply cannot take it back. But still, he did not like it. He will need to have a talk. His only hope is that Naruto will not accept, but before he could even complete the thought, as Naruto smirked, a devilish smirk, as he looked towards Menma, as this was the first time Minato noticed such a smile, and to be honest, it reminded him somewhat of Orochimaru, which scared him, as he finally thought that maybe he has pushed Naruto too far, as he was only hoping that it was not too late already, as Naruto smirked, well, I accept the challenge as Menma was about to say something, but on one condition. At this, there were several people murmur, as even the clan heads were there. They were pretty surprised. As before Menma could say anything, as Naruto said, I will only accept the challenge if Naruto also fight in a, you can say, in this match. My only condition is that how Naruto should also fight in this match on the behalf of Menma. After all, as his smirk at Menma, a taunting smirk, he's just a weakling and he's going to need all the help he could actually get, as there was silence in the whole academy as Menma was furious. How dare this weakling, this failure, this demon say that how he was a weakling. He was trained by fourth Hokage Jiraiya of the Sanin, the red hot habanero known as Kushina Uzumaki, and even given pointers for his chakra control by Tsunade of the Sonic. He was the best as but then Naruto smirked at that. Well, Ruka sensei, I accept it. Why not make it a battle royale? After all, if I'm not mistaken, there are 21 students here. So we are going to have a odd number anyway. As Ruka wanted to say something, but then again, not to put the condition, and it was within law that was created by Academy, so he cannot do anything about it. As they simply nodded at that, are you sure about it, Naruto? As Naruto simply nodded at that, as all three of them entered into the arena, as all the, you can say, fangirls started to cheer for Menma, as well as fanboys started to cheer for their so-called angel Naruto. As Naruto, just to taunt Menma, looked towards Kyuubi, who was trying to look towards the match as a wink at her as she blushed a little once again, while on the other hand Menma noticed that as he clenched his fists with pure utter anger, as Ruka said, alright kids, in this match you can use all the everything that has been taught to you in terms of shinobi skills, and everything is, you can say, permitted, but do not injure each other too much, even though they were the children of Hokage. Just how much damage they can actually do, as Ruka thought that in his mind, as he simply nodded at that, as Naruto simply looked towards them with a taunting smirk, as both Menma and Naruto were, you can say, pretty angry about it, while Naruto being calm mind and a devilish mind, while on the other hand Menma being angry and brute force mainly. While Ontet and Kushina, as well as Minato, were panicking a little. What was Naruto even thinking, challenging both Menma and Naruto? They were trained by the best, and they were obviously stronger than Naruto. So there was no way he was going to win. As one voice came behind, as it was none other than Jiraiya. Hey Minato. As Minato simply looked back, Jiraiya sensei. As Jiraiya said, yeah, I just came back to see the fight of my godson. It seems that he has decided to challenge Naruto, huh? Well, this match is pretty obvious. You already know Minato, Menma, and Naruto are the best. As before, Minato could say anything on that as Ruka said, alright, begin. As Ruka said, begin. As Menma quickly rushes forward with, you can say, impressive speed for a 8 years old as Fugaku Uchiha that was there was also pretty impressed. After all, it was just an 8-year-old kid and he was definitely faster than Sasuke as Menma smirked at that. He came inches to the face of Naruto within, you can say, a few seconds as he was more than ready to punch Naruto to the face, as most of the people thought that the match was over, especially Jiraiya, who had a proud smile on his face, but to most of the people shocked, as a scream could be heard to the area, as they were utter shock, as next moment Menma's face was planted to the ground, his hand was grabbed by Naruto, as a foot was slammed into, you can say, at the back of his head, as Menma was face first to the ground, as his arm was in a lock in the hand of Naruto, as Naruto had a bored expression on his face, but then it started to change into a smirk, a taunting smirk, as Menma screamed once again when Naruto pulled his arm As Naruto was in utter shock, she thought that this match will be over quickly and they would be able to beat Naruto down. After all, she just wanted to play with him. But then finally, her you can say training kicked in as she said, "Let go of Menma," as she released some of the chains from behind her. After all, she was an Uzumaki and has inherited the Uzumaki chains. As Naruto simply smirked at that, one of the chains came towards Naruto. As Naruto simply, you can say, moved with such speed as grabbing the chain before Naruto even realized. As her eyes widened, as Naruto pulled the chain towards him, as Naruto tried to stop him, but it was already too late. One moment, she was on the other side trying to wrap him around in her chain, and next moment her you can say throat was grabbed by Naruto with such force that she was barely able to take some breath. As Naruto smirked as he said, "Well, dearest sister, why don't you come to the right? After all, you are going with your Onisan after all," with a you can say pleasant smile on his face, but then it turned into a devilish smirk as Menma was already trying to get up as using chakra, but to no avail. As Naruto was using his monstrous strength, as Naruto smirked as he let go of Menma, as Menma quickly tried to, you can say, attack Naruto, but next moment his face was slammed to the head of Naruto as both of their, you can say, heads collided with each other. And the next moment, two kicks were slammed to their guts with such incredible speed and force that both of them puke up blood as both of them were sent into the opposite side, flying through the trees and slam into the opposite side of the walls. As there was dead silence in the whole area, as Jiraiya's eyes widened along with Kushina and Minato, they simply could not believe it. How? What? It is not possible, right? Even the clan heads and elders that were there were in utter shock. They already know that how both Menma and Naruto are being trained by the legends of this village, such as Jiraiya, Tsunade, Kushina, and Minato. They may be 8 years old, but they have been training since the age of 4 and they are fairly stronger than all the clan children that were there. As Naruto yawned a little as he smirked towards, you can say, both Minato and Kushina and Jiraiya and Tsunade, who has just arrived and already rushed off to see her godchildren, as Naruto smirked towards them as a taunting smirk, especially towards Jiraiya. As a speaker, well, this is the best trained by the Sanin as well as the Hokage and Red Hot Habanero. Huh, well, in my humble opinion, they were pretty weak, to be honest. But then again, trash is always going to be trash, no matter how much you clean it. As after saying that, he started to laugh and went off as he simply looked towards, you can say, Iruka and gave him a look as Iruka came out of his utter shock. As this match ended so quickly, he did not even realize the movement, but then he noticed one thing, and one thing only, as well as several high ranking shinobi as all of them had a single thought going on in their mind. He did not even move from the position. As Naruto simply smirked as Iruka came out of his shock as he said, well, winner, Naruto, Uzumaki, Namikaze, as there were several gasps as all the clan heads and you can say even third Hokage who has just arrived to see the children that were there were in utter shock. They were whatever, what can even they say at this point, as both Menma and Naruto were completely knocked off, as all the, you can say even Sasuke and Itachi that was hiding in the tree, but it, even Kakashi, as Naruto simply winked at Kiyomi, who blushed quite a little bit more, as Itachi narrowed his eyes at that, as well as you can say Sasuke, as after all, he was rivals with Menma, and he always thought that Naruto was just nothing more than a weakling, a failure to the clan of Uzumaki and Namikaze, and is nothing more than that, as he never paid any attention to him, as Ruka finally came out of his shock and announced Naruto to be the winner and decided to continue the whole tournament, but no one enjoyed anything as there was dead silence in the whole area. Most of the experienced shinobi saw the precise movement which Naruto made in the whole place, as well as how easily he dodged the attacks of those children. He may be trained by Minato, as some of the people, especially civilians, thought, as they were scared a little. They thought that how Demon should have been weak and submissive to them. How did he get so stronger? As they were getting a bit scared As finally, the whole thing finally ended as the whole first day as the whole thing finally ended, and now let us get back to the Hokage office as Minato, as well as Kushina and Jiraiya and Tsunade and third Hokage has just arrived, and Kakashi decided to tag along the place. After all, he was helping somewhat. Well, not that much. After all, he was in Ambu, but whenever he came to visit his sensei, he always paid attention to his prodigy. You can say children, and he was not actually happy. That's how Naruto humiliated both Menma and Naruto, as he was pretty sure that both Menma and Naruto were going to dominate the academy, as he was not liking much the competition. As while on the other hand, you can say Jiraiya speak out. What is going on here, Minato? How's that even possible? Why did you told me that you were both training Naruto as well? As he looked towards Minato, as Minato said, "Well, Sensei, I was not actually training him whatsoever." As Jiraiya simply shook his head. "Do not lie to me, Minato. How did he get so strong? You were always in the office. I thought that you were doing your Hokage work. That is why you are not helping that much. But it seemed that you were training Naruto secretly because otherwise there is definitely no way he could have gotten that strong. Both Menma and Naruto possess the power of the Nine Tails. Their chakra, their physical powers, as well as their healing factor should easily put both of them far above Naruto could ever hope to be." As Minato glared towards his sensei, "As I said before, Jiraiya sensei, I was not training him. I was already in the Hokage office. I simply cannot have enough time to train both Menma and Naruto. So how could I even train Naruto to begin with?" As then Jiraiya finally calmed down as he said, "But how?" As third Hokage, you can say, "Well, Minato, it seems that your son, your firstborn, is actually a prodigy. Well, it is not unseen of Jiraiya. You may not know it. After all, you are actually never a prodigy, you see." As Jiraiya glared towards his sensei, but before he could say anything, as Tadokage put his hand, "Well, I'm not saying you're not a strong shinobi, Jiraiya, but I'm saying that you are a hard-working person. And same is the case with Menma. Though Naruto is a bit of a genius, but I think that Naruto has inherited your genius, Minato. He's mostly out of the house, right? So he must be training in the forest or something like that secretly." As Minato speak up, "But how is that even possible that without any training whatsoever he got that strong?" As Tadokage said, "Well, Minato, you may not have noticed it, but Naruto did not use any jutsu. He used pure physical strength as well as his utter speed. So he must have seen some of the shinobi's training and must have copied them and must have gotten strong. Well, same was the case with Itachi Uchiha, who got stronger mostly watching by how other shinobis train, though he mostly trained with Shisui, but that is beside the point. As most of the people were silenced there as Jiraiya said, "Well, it does not matter. We have to train both Menma and Naruto even more. Naruto is not important to the whole destiny. Both Menma and Naruto are the child of destiny. They should be stronger, Minato. I think that it's about time that you make a bit of compromise with your position." As Minato raised an eyebrow, "What are you saying, Jiraiya sensei?" As Jiraiya said, "Well, Minato, to the Hokage law, you can take a break if you so desire. If you are able to perform a triple S rank mission that is charted in the Hokage charter, and after that you can take the position." As Minato raised an eyebrow, "What are you actually saying, Jiraiya sensei?" As I said, "You can put the position back to third Hokage or Shikaku Nara if you so desire, Minato, and after that you can take some time off to train both Menma and Naruto. We can put them out of the academy so we can train them completely. And I'm already here. Small break from my spy network, and Tsunade is also there. We can all train Menma and Naruto." As Minato said, "Jira sensei, are you even serious? And the Hokage, how can I take a break?" As Jiraiya simply shook his head, "Minato, third Hokage, Lord Third cannot actually take the position. When, if you want a small break, and it is not for a long time, Minato. You have to understand, it is for the sake of the world, for the good of Konoha. You have to make the sacrifice. You have to make some time to train both Menma and Naruto, and it simply cannot be done if you are stuck behind the Hokage desk." As Minato thought it for some time, as third Hokage sighed, as I said, "Well, Minato-kun, to be honest, I do not want to take the position of Hokage once again, but if it is for the good of the world and for your own children good, then I'm willing to compromise. But it is your choice in the end of the day." As Minato simply sighed at that. As Jiraiya said, don't worry kid, it is for some years and after that you'll be Hokage again, right? As he simply nodded at that. As he said, alright sensei, if you say so, but tomorrow is going to be Menma and Naruto's birthday. As Jiraiya sighed, as he said, yeah, they're going to be pretty angry that Naruto, out of all people, was able to beat them. As Kushina sighed, as she said, well, at least we do not have to worry much about Naruto now, and he can handle himself. As but before Minato could say anything, as one of the Chunin arrived with small papers, as he said, well, Lord Hokage, these were the complaints put by civilian as well as civilian council members said to be on your desk. As Minato sighed, he knew that this was going to happen as he bring a small stack of paper and started to read it completely by dismissing the tuning as he sighed. As Kushina said, what happened Minato? As Minato said, well, these are the complaints by the civilian council member as well as the civilians. In their eyes, the demon is getting too strong and should not be allowed to go to the academy and to become more dangerous, and how the demon is trying to take over the body and things like that. As Kushina sighed a little. She knew that she was making things difficult for her firstborn, but what she can actually do, it is for the good of the world and for the good of Konoha. As Minato simply shook his head. What can I say to them now? Echira said, so what should we do? Well actually, if you can Minato, we can always put a seal on Naruto. So he may not get too strong, you know. As Minato glared towards Jiraiya, as he said, that is enough, Jiraiya sensei. I have already made Naruto's life hell, and to be honest, I can never forgive myself for that. But I decided to the fact that both Menma and Naruto are more important to the world. I may be doing that, but I'm not going to make things more difficult for Naruto. You and I both know that how the civilian council members are, and Naruto has no demon sealed inside of him to take over whatsoever. As Jiraiya wanted to argue, he wanted to say that how his personality is getting twisted, that smirk reminded him way too much of Orochimaru to think any of it. But at this point, he did not want it to anger his student, as he simply nodded at that. As he said, well, soon enough both Menma and Naruto are going to get stronger anyway with the help of training from Jiraiya, Tsunade, Minato, Kushina, as well as occasionally Third Hokage if he had time, as well as copy ninja such as Kakashi. So it is going to be easy, but tomorrow is going to be the birthday of both Menma and Naruto, as Jirai had a perfect plan for that night. As he said, well Minato, I have a gift planned out for both Menma and Naruto, but and I think that it's about time you gave them the gift as well. As Minato was dreading that a little bit, as after all, he may not put Naruto in much of a light and all that helping him, but this decision will definitely affect the whole clan and things like that. But this was something that has to be done, as Minato dreaded a little as he put up a scroll having the sign of Namakase as well as Uzumaki on it. So yeah guys, here I will have this part. In the next part you guys will see that how Naruto will finally leave the village and the whole journeys and things like that. And hopefully you guys will enjoy it. So yeah guys, for the next part the like goal 500 likes and 200 comments. Do that and I shall upload the next part. Who knows, I might upload it today. So yeah, it is really up to you guys. So yeah guys, hope you guys enjoyed it, and yeah, peace and peace.